Hi folks, this is going to be the first of 4 videos telling you about this primary source analysis assignment. The assignment's not that complicated really when you sit down to do it, but there are a few background things that you need to know in order to do it properly. So that's why there are so many videos for how to do this assignment, and you can watch them as many times as you need to, or click around and only watch a few of them, whatever you need to do. So for the primary source analysis, which is due every single week, again, I would start at the home page. You could also start at modules, and that'll take you right into primary source analysis. Remember, with this assignment, unlike the outline and main idea assignment, which is due multiple times some weeks, like one outline for each chapter, this assignment is only due once each week. So for example, in week 3, you have one primary source analysis, and the source will come from either chapter 7 or 8. So don't turn in 2 of those. That's more work than you need to do. But let's start with chapter 6 here. So for chapter 6, you have 2 options. You can choose either one of these sources in order to analyze for the week. There will always be a link that'll take you straight to the primary source analysis guide. I would just right click and open it in a new tab every week so you can look at both. I've already done that. And the thing that will appear at the top is something you should look at least once, but maybe more than once, just as a refresher throughout the course. So what you want to do is follow this link. I've already opened it in a new tab, and you'll go to a site on the UNCG library webpage, which will tell you all about what a primary source is. Even if you already know, even if you're a history major and you've done this a million times, I would take a brief look at this just as a refresher, and so that you understand how I'm defining primary sources in this class, which may be ever so slightly different from how other people define it. So here's a good explanation for you. A primary source is something that was created during the time that you're studying. So for example, if you're studying the Civil War, a primary source might be a diary that was written that time. On the other hand, a secondary source might be a book that was later written about the Civil War based on information from diaries, from magazine and newspaper articles, from public opinion polls, etc. So that's the general difference, and I recommend that everyone take a look at this video here as well. There are 2, one about world history and one about U.S. history, and since this is a U.S. Course, go for this one. So just click play here on this video on the UNCG library site and listen to that quick explanation about telling the difference between the 2. The last thing that I want to tell you as an overview of this assignment is that every time you turn in a primary source analysis, it's going to have all of these components here. It's essentially 4 components. So 1 sourcing table, 2 paragraphs about bias and reliability, and then 1 paragraph contextualizing the primary source. So the next 3 videos that I'm going to post about this assignment are going to tell you about each of those components. So there'll be 1 video about how to source, 1 video about bias and reliability, which will go towards 2 paragraphs, and then 1 video about contextualizing primary sources based on the textbook. So you can click through those at your leisure.